Well, howdy there folks, and welcome back to Das Customs, the channel where we know roughly what we're doing. So, look, it's been a bloody long weekend and it's been hot, really hot the last couple of weeks here. I'm like 3 shades darker than I normally am, mostly on the back of my neck. But we've managed to, get in the shed. We've done a bit of a tidy up in here and we're just looking for a project to spend, the arvo on to try and kind of move something forward a bit here. So the bus out there, I've just given it a little touch up with some primer. It's just ready for its final rub back, meant to be getting painted this weekend. Seats are done, you've seen that. And the Baja, she's back here in the shed. It's been parked actually at my house for a while. I just needed to make some space for it. And I've got it back here because there's a few things that need finishing on it. Now, one of the biggest issues I'm having with it is, of course, the steering, which a lot of you kindly have commented. I'm glad to, see that you're keeping up with me. And you commented that it's, most probably bump steer. It's an issue that you have when you raise the body and the steering geometry changes. Now, there's a few different ways you can go about trying to fix this issue. One of them is to set up a rack and pinion center steer. There's all kinds of different ways. Now this thing, it's kind of beyond drivable. It's actually dangerous to drive. So we're trying to figure out ways to fix it. Now, the biggest issue is that because of the body raise, I've had to tilt the steering up like this, the steering box, tilt it up. And that's done is it's made the pitman arm kind of camber over. Like it's not running parallel like this, so it kind of cambers over like that. So as you steer, it kind of, it's like really touchy in the steering. And look, I'll show you what I'm thinking to do to try and rectify this issue. Pardon the bench, there's a few projects going on here at the moment. Anyway, the later L bugs had, I'm not sure, I guess the super bugs had this union joint steering. And after doing a heap of research, I was just going to try and get a couple of these uni joints. I figured out that, wow, you can get one that's actually Volkswagen spline, and there it is. So I'm going to try and rig this up in there somehow to alleviate a bit of that, so I can set the steering box back level. Anyway, let's put this thing on the hoist. I've got plenty of room here now, and we'll just see if we can't, kind of figure something out. So first up, we'll remove the fuel tank, just give us a bit of better access into there. It's only these 4 bolts that pull the fuel tank out. And we can kind of then get in there and have a look at how we're going to, you know, approach this situation. I'm actually not even sure how that thing was running. I've been noticing it every time I try and move it. It's like hard to start and that, but that was bone dry. Not a drop in it, even in the fuel filter. Look in here. Literally, you know, scregs in there. So I'm thinking that hopefully that's part of the problem of why it's running rough. I also feel like it potentially is the, I'll show you. I had to cobble together this, what do you call it, O2 sensor. Basically, you know, joining it in 15 different times. And I got a feeling that that is just not working as it should. So it's kind of running rich and it's blowing black smoke and just doing all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, these things have got sensors, fellas. Like, we've got to, you know, we'll have to work through that once we actually want to drive it on the road. But for now, we're not looking at that. We're just trying to make the thing actually drive on the road. All right, so here we are. So this is not standard Volkswagen stuff, as you probably know. This is very beefy. I mean, look, let's have a look here. So, you know, this is what I'm dealing with, you know, and, you know, in comparison, this is standard Volkswagen stuff. It's about as thick as my finger, you know. So to start off with, you know, we're already, you know, having fun. So this is the issue that we're having, that this steering box, you can see here, I've literally butchered a hole in this thing to create more of an angle. And this steering box, it's meant to be sitting level. The first issue that we're going to have with that is obviously, you know, that there's no clearance here. So we're probably, when I say probably, I mean definitely, going to have to cut a section out in here. This thing has been heavily plated, and I'm talking like serious. That looks like a, you know, a good bit of 8mm steel or something that's been put onto the side of this thing. And, you know, that, although good, making it strong is also going to make it very hard to cut. This is at full droop, so that is hanging at the moment. You can see there's, you know, no tension on those springs, as in no pressure. Where do I start? I probably want to get it to ride height. I probably want to sit this thing on the ground and figure out where does it actually sit at ride height, which is going to be most of the time, and then kind of have a look at it from there. So, well, let's bring it back down and just kind of ascertain that. Well, I removed these front shocks. I honestly don't know if I'm going to run them. I feel that they just give it a lot more spring, which is not necessarily a good thing. Anyway, pull them out for now because I feel that they're not actually letting me, you know, they're not coming down. So let's try, put it on the ground now and see what happens. There it goes. Yeah, so now it sits down to kind of what would be more like ride height. Now at that height, there's plenty of clearance, and I'm talking a lot. There's a lot more rake in the bug, which I don't actually mind. Like I feel a Baja could be like that. Oof, oof, oof. Let's see. Let's just see what's going on here anyway. All right, so we pulled all that apart. We've removed all the linkages and whatnot, and pulled out the, you know, steering column. Now this is a collapsible style steering column that came out of the later bugs. I don't know how that, like, I mean, you're not meant to weld on steering components, I get that, but I don't know how that's any better. I don't understand how, you know, that's good, but, you know, I can't plug and weld a couple of things together, so anyway, look, we're just gonna, basically what we're gonna try and do is test fit up this doohickey And I'm not 100% sure, but I believe I can get rid of that. I think basically that is, you know, an old style of uni joint. I'm thinking. Anyway, let's see if it fits on there, and we'll take it from there. Because, you know, that's the spline I'm looking for, if you know what I mean. And so that doesn't just fit on there, which is great to know. I'm going to play with this for a bit, and I'll get back to you. All right, so loosening up the steering box, I can now, you know, wind it like back up, or what I'm trying to do is get that level. I think the idea is that you're actually trying to get these levelish. I think that is actually the notion, because with them level, yeah, it makes sense that is, you know, is doing the bad thing. Let's just have a look at it from under here. So, you know, that's now a lot more leveler. Like, it's not level. And also, I mean, right now, that makes the actual tie rods more level if I turn it a bit more. What is going to happen as I lift it, they're going to come down. So, you know, and you can see, okay, watch this. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but as I push that up and down, the whole wheel moves in and out. And that's bump steer, basically, in a nutshell. So what I've got to try and do is find the center of that point. Anyway, I'm just going to play with this for a second. I'll get back with you. So for this to articulate properly, it needs to be able to go, you know, that way. And there's actually too much steering, you know, shaft coming out of the steering box. So I've got to cut that off about at that white line. So this could be the beginning of the end. Let's hope not. I mean, you know, worst case scenario, I guess I'm buying a new steering box. Sometimes you just got to cut. So now the issue is I've got to remove this bit, and I've got to somehow make that bit into a male spline. So do I join that bit onto that and then have that? I've got to figure this out. I've got to try and figure out a way that makes it actually good and safe and not just bodgy. So I've got a few of these steering columns. I've got a few of them upstairs. This is the one that came out of the car, nice and straight. This one's, you know, bent and a bit shagged. So I'm going to use it to start with and just see if I can make it good. And then if I make a mistake on it, I'll go to that one. So I'm going to start cutting and just see where I get to. So the good news is that spline there, it's very, very close to going in there. I reckon I can make that fit. So I can, you know, cut a slot in that and do the old bolt kind of keyway and put that in there. And I might just be able to cut this off there and just kind of have a two-way splined, you know, doohickey that kind of does the thing. So I'll keep cracking at it. The main issue I've got is the length. I need to make sure that this all lines up with the other thing. So I'm going to get that back in there and I've got to just play around with this for a second. I reckon that is going to work. Fuel tank. Ooh, fuel tank could be an issue. They have the cutouts there. I think it'll be okay. Hopefully it'll be okay. Anyway, let's slot the thing, do the doodad, make it work, fit it together, bolt the steering wheel in, see if it turns. And by that I mean, you know, replicate this section here. That has a keeper in it, so when you put a bolt in there, the steering can't just, you know, fall apart. One of the reasons I want to do it like this and not kind of weld something and do something is because I believe I'm going to have to get a bearing that wraps, you know, tight to this on the inside and, you know, fits in there on the outside. And I believe I'll be able to get something that's close to that because these shafts are normally just a straight shaft, so there's not a lot of play in there. But once I put this contraption in, that's just going to flop around in there like a, you know. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to make that. I'm going to cut that. I kind of marked that on here. You know, the same length as that, and I'll just try and make sure, like I said, I want to make that connect to both bits, so I've got to make sure that I kind of, you know, make everything fit to a tolerance. Anyway, I'm going to cut her up. Okay, well that, I'm pretty happy with that. It's got, you know, like I measured before, it needed at least 20 mil out for the other side, and this is, you know, it's nicely in there, and there's no been welding or, you know, hacking, or it's kind of, I feel like it's as good as the original joint. I'm going to slip this in, see if we can hook it together, and hopefully we got some steering. All right, so that's all back together. Obviously, like we talked about earlier, I want to put a bearing in there to take up, you know, because right now there's slop every which way. But if I put a bearing in there, that'll hold that nice and tight. And then obviously I've got to do the old, you know, wish I hadn't have cut that out technique, which I've got a plan for that. So, you know, it's not too big a drama, but, you know, in hindsight, I was just trying to make it work and I shouldn't have done it. Anyway, right, so this thing, I'm going to bolt the fuel tank back in and take it for a drive, and hopefully it's improved a little bit. I mean, that was probably easier than I thought it was going to be. I really honestly thought I'd be still struggling trying to make things fit, but it seems to be together. So have I got any fuel? I think there's something in that can under there. Let's get the tank back in and whatnot. Have you guys been in this thing before? If you have, it was a long time ago. Anyway, so that's all my, you know, I can't even remember what that gauge is. Temp gauge, water temp. So I've got actually internal, I can control my fan. Now remember, what have I got? Tacho, voltmeter, second water temp gauge, oil pressure. And of course, you know, the regular stuff. Now, what you haven't seen and what's coming up is, you know, this equipment right here. Spotties for the front, little mini winch is going to go on the front. I'm building a bull bar for this thing. So, you know, I just don't want to be stuck somewhere and have to get towed out by Nissan Patrol or something like that, you know. So, anyway, I'm going to try and rig this camera up. We'll take you for a spin. So I found some old fuel in the paint booth, believe it or not. Who knows what it was? Let's hope it runs it. Yeah, some kind of sensor in it that's making it not idle. zero steering. So something I haven't. Okay, back to the old drawing board. Righto, here we go. Maybe. Geez, whatever that fuel is, it is not liking it at all. I should go get some proper fuel for this thing. It hates whatever I just put in it. I'll be back. We just put some good gear in it. Let's hope that it likes that a bit better. Give it a few run throughs. Oof. This is not going good, fellas. God damn it, what have I done? Bit of diesel. It's getting better. Just smoky. I say getting better? What I don't want to do is hit that combi. Well, that was bad. Just didn't seem to be any improvement at all. I don't know what I was expecting, magical cure or something, but look, I'm putting the shocks back in. It had drooped, like it was running no shocks, and the front end was very, very low, so I'm going to put them back in. Hopefully that kind of, you know, brings us back to a bit of ride height. I'm also going to fit a steering dampener. I've got to go see what I got and try and fit that, but stay tuned, I'll get that cracking, and hopefully we've got enough daylight to take it for another run. So there is a lot of tension on these shocks, fellas. Like I've got it jacked up on that jack, and I'm having to jack up to take the pressure out of the shock to slip this bolt in. Last time I did it was on the hoist. It was very difficult. This time it seems to be going pretty good. So I'm just about there. I've just got to try and feed that bolt through without pushing that bush out. So, ooh. All right, so I've jerry-rigged a steering dampener on. Look, I know it's not good, but it'll be good enough just to test if that's going to help me at all. You know, everything's tight, everything's collides, but look, I think we can make it. I think it'll just work. I'm just going to do a quick wheel alignment again, just to see if that's, you know, could be the issue, because looking back at it, that's definitely facing in, that one. And you know, that's also, it's just maybe just got mad toe in. I'll just measure that. I'm just going to measure it with a tape measure, you know, trusty old tape measure, and see if I can adjust that a bit. If my eyes are correct on that tape measure, I've got nearly 100 mil of toe. I don't know how that's even possible, but it's very, very much in. I'm just going to wind her out a bit and see if I can. It's a bit hard to do, like, you know, like this. I'm going to try one more method and we'll just give that a crack. All right, so this is what we're going to call the carpenter's method. Basically what I've done is I've clamped two straight edges to the wheel. Now, for this to work, everything has to be the same. I've come off the ground the same. I've got 315 mil front and back on both sides, and I've measured from the level into the wheel, into the rim, and we're all the same. So now, I mean, just looking at it, I can see that's a lot of toe in. I'm going to measure front and back of the wheel and just see what that measures. I mean, it's funny, this kind of stuff, like here I found obviously a major issue, which has happened when I've turned the pitman arm down. It pushes the back with the wheels out. But is this going to fix the problem? Oof. I mean, it's definitely worse now than it was previously. So, all right, so if I can just get that to read. Hang on, this, everything's in the way. Okay. I'm just going to come in front of the tyre. About 100 mil. Now there I've got 1570. So that's 1570 in to in. Now, can I do the same at the back? Almost everything up the right height. So far good. So if I just come. $17.35. So 1570 to 1735. What's that? It's 165 mil over that. That's a lot over the size of a wheel. Righto, let's try and tighten this thing up. The only issue is, because I've got a narrow beam, will my tie rods now allow me to go in that much? That's going to be the next issue, fellas, but let's just see if we can sort this out real quick. When in doubt, ice grips. Yes. Oof, that's going to be close. That's 1640. I reckon I'm about 1660 at the back. That's 20 mil. It's a lot still. I reckon I could get a bit more out of the driver's side, but I don't want to disconnect that steering dampener that I just put in. I'm going to take this thing for another spin and hopefully we've had some success. Unclamping. I'll bring you guys along for the ride. Running a lot better. I think I might have put some diesel in it accidentally. I don't know how I managed to do that, but sometimes you do some silly things. Just enough daylight left. Well, it's feeling a lot better just driving around, but oh, unbelievable. This is like a different car. Terrified going around the corner in it because the oversteer is just nuts. Oh my God. Well, that'll be the brakes locking up. Try and get you guys a bit more of a view. Rear brakes aren't working at all, so the fronts are all I've got at the moment, and I just couldn't even stop. Oh, let's see if I can pull in the driveway. She's running a lot better. Actually running real good. That diesel might have just given it a bit of a fuel system clean. Righto. Well folks, I got to say I nearly felt like I was beat today. This thing just like, I just couldn't get it. It was like honestly, that's what's been holding me off on this car. I've just known that there was this major issue that I had to face. and try and fix, which is the steering. Like everything else, it's just bolted back together. And now I've actually sorted it out, which is like, oof, what a, you know, a relief. Obviously there's a lot to do on this car still. It's just all the little stuff that's kind of, I mean, like the brakes, they're not really working that well. The handbrake doesn't work at all. The clutch needs adjusting like anything. It's only like, it's just there, like it's, you know. There's the bull bar to build, you know, it goes on and on and on. But the major things are done. That was like a major thing for me, was the steering. Like, if you can't drive the thing, what's the point of building it? But stoked, absolutely stoked on that. Anyway, folks, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you guys. This channel is starting to build. It finally feels like it's getting somewhere. And it's thanks to you guys for supporting me and actually coming back and watching this show. So I'll catch you next time.